Ready to become fluent with the Thinking in English community? Look no further. Introducing Thinking in English classes run by qualified English teachers. We have designed our own group classes and tuition platform where you can take interactive English Zoom lessons. Each lesson comes with PDF worksheets, self-study exercises, and expert teacher feedback. Visit my website, thinkinginenglish.link, to explore our wide range of packages and sign up for a half-price trial lesson. But hurry, this offer won't last forever. If you are new to Thinking in English classes, enter the code TRIAL50 during sign-up to unlock your exclusive half-price trial lesson. That's TRIAL50. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to elevate your English skills. Join our growing community of learners and let us guide you on your language learning journey. Hello, I'm Tom Wilkinson and welcome to the Thinking in English podcast, a podcast for intermediate to advanced level English learners. From a crown mounted with an embroidered head of a raven, to drinking mildly narcotic beverages, to water collected from rivers at specific times. There are a lot of unique and sometimes strange coronation ceremonies around the world. Let's learn about a few today. You can find the full transcript of today's episode over on the Thinking in English blog. Leave a like and rating if you enjoy today's episode. Support the podcast by subscribing to my Patreon. And here is today's vocabulary list. Symbol. Symbol. A sign, shape, or object that is used to represent something else. For example, a heart shape is the symbol of love. Sacred. Sacred. Considered to be holy and deserving respect, especially because of a connection with a god. For instance, this area is sacred to Christians. Enthronement. Enthronement. The act of putting a king, queen through the ceremony of sitting on a throne in order to mark the official beginning of their period in power. As in, he attended the enthronement of the Pope. Purification. Purification. In some religions, the act of removing from a person, usually by a ceremony, the bad effects they are suffering. As in, the monks undergo purification ceremonies regularly. To revere. To revere. To very much respect and admire someone or something. For example, Nelson Mandela is revered for his brave fight against apartheid. Deity. Deity. A god or goddess, as in, Ares and Aphrodite were the ancient Greek deities of war and love. Dignitary. Dignitary. A person who has an important position in a society, as in, several foreign dignitaries attended the ceremony. To bless. To bless. To call or make someone or something holy. For example, the priest blessed their marriage. A few days ago, the coronation of King Charles III was held in the UK. The event marked the accession of the new king to the throne of the United Kingdom, and followed a number of ancient different traditions and ceremonies. Last week, I released an episode discussing the specific events of the coronation and some interesting or useful vocabulary to help you understand the event. However, as I was researching the episode, I realized something. Some of the events I was discussing probably sounded relatively familiar to many of you listening, because the UK is not the only country with kings, queens, and coronations. There are currently 43 countries around the world with a monarch as a head of state, including Australia, Bahrain, Denmark, Eswatini, and the United Arab Emirates. Furthermore, there are hundreds of non-sovereign monarchies around the world. Kings, queens, sultans, emirs, and more of regions, areas, islands, and districts within countries. Today, I want to take a look at 4 different monarchies in vastly different countries, each with their own elaborate and unique coronation ceremonies. By looking at Japan, Tonga, Bhutan, and Thailand, I want to show the differences and similarities between global monarchies, and also introduce a lot of new vocabulary to all of you listening. Japan. Japan has one of the oldest monarchies in the world, with a history that dates back more than 1,500 years. For centuries, the emperor was seen as a descendant of the gods. And while the royal family's power was largely taken away after World War II, they are still a symbol of the Japanese state. The Japanese monarchy is also known as the chrysanthemum throne, a name derived from the imperial crest, which features the chrysanthemum flower. It is the oldest hereditary monarchy on the planet. In other words, the same family has been on the throne of Japan for over 1,000 years. The coronation or enthronement ceremony in Japan is actually written into the Japanese constitution, which makes it quite easy to research. First, the emperor is presented with 3 sacred treasures: a replica of the grass cutter sword, a necklace made of stone beads, and the mirror of Yata no Kagami. Second, the emperor will meet the leaders of the different parts of Japanese government. And then the main event will be held, in which the emperor will proclaim and congratulate the enthronement. In other words, there is a religious ceremony in which the emperor sits in the throne. The 4th step in the Japanese coronation is a celebration parade followed by a banquet. Moreover, about a year after the emperor ascends to the throne, the Daijosai, a highly symbolic and ritualistic event, takes place. It is held in the Imperial Palace in Tokyo and lasts for 3 days, with the main ritual taking place on the 2nd day. The most recent ceremony was held in 2019 for Emperor Naruhito. The ceremony is intended to signify the new emperor's gratitude to the gods for the harvest and to ask for their blessings for the nation. There are various rituals, including the consumption or eating of sacred rice, which is offered to the gods in gratitude for the harvest. The Daijosai also involves a purification ritual performed by priests from the Shinto religion. The emperor also offers new clothes and other offerings to the gods during the ceremony. And purification is a theme you will notice in a lot of the different ceremonies I will talk about today. Another significant part of the Daijosai is a ritual in which water is taken from a special well and used to make sake or nihonshu, a traditional Japanese rice wine. The emperor then drinks the sake as an offering to the gods. The Daijosai reflects the importance of the emperor as a symbol of unity and also the relationship between the emperor and the gods. The ceremony is also an important part of Japanese culture and history, and is an example of the role of religion and tradition in coronation ceremonies around the world. If you were watching the British coronation over the weekend, you will have noticed how important Christianity is in the British coronation ceremony. Tonga. Tonga is a Polynesian kingdom located in the South Pacific, and is one of the few remaining monarchies in the region. The Tongan monarchy has a history that dates back more than 1,000 years. The coronation ceremony, or enthronement, is a colourful and unique event that is steeped in tradition. It begins with the presentation of gifts to the new king, including traditional items such as woven mats, bark cloth, and kava. Kava is a mildly narcotic drink popular in the Pacific Islands and considered an important cultural tradition. The new king will take part in a kava ceremony and drinking the kava as a sign of his power. The new king then walks to the royal palace accompanied by traditional Tongan music and dances. The king is presented with a scepter, a ring, and anointed with holy oil in the ceremony. In the most recent coronation ceremony of King Tupou VI, the coronation service was conducted not by a Tongan, but by an Australian citizen, Reverend Darcy Wood. While this may seem strange, there was a good reason for this decision. Native Tongans are not supposed to touch the head of the king, and this means no Tongan can place the crown on the head of the king. The Reverend Wood, however, was born in Tonga but is Australian, and therefore allowed to place the crown on the king's head, as well as anoint him with holy oil. The enthronement of the Tongan king also involves a number of other traditional rituals and practices, including the burning of torches and the presentation of food offerings. The ceremony is typically followed by a large feast, which features traditional Tongan foods such as roasted pig and taro. Bhutan. Bhutan is a small Himalayan kingdom located between India and China, and is known for its stunning natural beauty and unique culture. In fact, it is famous for its idea of gross national happiness as a way of measuring development. The Bhutanese monarchy is known as the Dragon King and is highly revered by the people of Bhutan. And I have to say, Dragon King is one of the coolest titles, I think, in international politics. The Bhutanese coronation ceremony is rooted in Buddhist religious rites and ancient traditions. The most recent coronation took place in 2008, with 20,000 Bhutanese citizens lining the streets near the coronation ceremony. In Bhutan, the precise date and time of the coronation ceremony is decided by astrologers in accordance with traditions and religious beliefs. So last time, the king was crowned at precisely 8:31 a.m., which may seem like a strange time for a coronation ceremony, a bit early in the morning, but that was the time decided. Early in the morning, large tapestries of the Buddha and other gurus are unveiled before the king arrived in a procession of monks and soldiers. The long ceremony features dances and ancient costumes. Bhutan's crown is unique. It is known as the Raven Crown and features an embroidered raven head and white skulls. I definitely recommend you look online to have a look at a picture of the Raven Crown from Bhutan. This is a symbol of Bhutan's protector, a raven-headed deity or god that is supposed to protect the kingdom. One of the most notable traditions in Bhutan is that people pay homage to the king by gifting him with white scarves. In return for the scarves, the new king of Bhutan gives out special coronation coins. Senior Buddhist leaders also present the king with a number of important objects that symbolize the different qualities of a successful leader. For example, there is the fish of wisdom and the umbrella of supremacy. Thailand. Thailand is also a monarchy with an interesting coronation ceremony. The Thai monarchy is known as the Chakri dynasty and has a long history that dates back more than 200 years. The Thai coronation is elaborate and highly ceremonial, held in the capital city of Bangkok, and is usually attended by dignitaries from around the world. It includes elements from both Buddhist and Brahmanic religions. The royal coronation ceremony involves a series of complex rituals and practices, including the anointing of the king with sacred water and the presentation of a variety of royal regalia, including the sword of victory, royal staff, and great crown of victory. In last week's episode, I discussed how the oil used to anoint the king in the UK will be made from a variety of sources. In Thailand, water is used, and the water has to be collected from hundreds of different locations around the country precisely between 1152 and 1238, before it is blessed in a ceremony. Most famously, the ceremony also involves the use of the royal 9-tiered umbrella, which symbolizes the monarch's supreme authority. The royal 9-tiered umbrella comes from ancient Hindu traditions. Each tier demonstrates the amount of honor and power possessed by the king. Before the ceremony begins, the Thai king will take a ceremonial bath to purify himself. Then, after putting on the robes of a monk, a gong is struck by a member of his court. It is also tradition in Thailand that the king places the crown on his own head, unlike in the UK, where the Archbishop of Canterbury does it, Bhutan, where the last king's father did it, or in Tonga, where an Australian citizen did it. The royal coronation ceremony is a major event in Thai culture and society. The ceremony is held only when a new king ascends to the throne, usually as soon as possible, and is typically followed by a series of celebrations and public events. So here is today's final thought. Coronation ceremonies have played an important role in the history and culture of monarchies around the world. Although each ceremony has its unique customs and traditions, there are some similarities and differences that can be observed across the different cultures. One common thread among many coronation ceremonies is the use of symbols and regalia to represent the power and authority of the monarch. From crowns and scepters to thrones and swords, these items carry deep symbolic significance and spiritual or religious meaning. While the objects may have been different in each of the ceremonies I talked about, from a mirror in Japan to an umbrella in Thailand, these objects are designed to represent something important. They carry a deep and symbolic significance. Another common feature of many coronation ceremonies is the inclusion of religious elements, such as prayers, blessings, and offerings to the gods. These elements highlight the close relationship between religion and the monarchy in many cultures. The King of the United Kingdom is the head of the Church of England. In Thailand and Bhutan, Buddhism has a big and important influence. In Tonga, it's a Christian ceremony with lots of traditional Pacific culture as well. And in Japan, it is generally a Shinto religion ceremony. But at the same time, there are also notable differences between coronation ceremonies in different cultures. For example, the Japanese coronation ceremony emphasizes harmony and balance and is written into the Japanese Constitution, which was largely written by the American government after World War II, taking away a lot of the power and tradition from the ceremony. In contrast, the Thai coronation ceremony is marked by elaborate displays, with an emphasis on the king's connection to God and the country's history and culture. And this is largely because the monarchy in Thailand is still incredibly powerful. Compared to the ceremonies discussed in today's episode, the British coronation ceremony also features a rich array of traditions and customs, such as anointing the monarch with holy oil and presenting various regalia. However, the British ceremony also differs in some key ways. such as the inclusion of political elements, such as the oath of allegiance to the government. And if you were watching the coronation over the weekend, you will have noticed how, for the first time, other religions and figures from other religions were included in the ceremony. The regalia, the swords and staffs and crowns and orbs were actually presented by leading figures from different Christian churches, including Catholic and Greek Orthodox, as well as representatives from Islam, the Hindu religion, Sikh and Judaism. And this represents the changing nature of the UK. Right? The UK is now a much more multicultural country than it was in the past. Overall, while each coronation ceremony is unique, they all serve as powerful symbols of tradition, continuity, and national identity. Through these ceremonies, monarchies around the world have been able to maintain their heritage and connect with people, even as the world around has changed. But what do you think? Did you watch King Charles's coronation? Does your country have a similar ceremony? What type of government does your country have? Do you live in a monarchy, a constitutional monarchy, a republic, a dictatorship? Let me know by leaving a comment on the blog, the comment on the transcript, comment on Spotify, or send me a message on Instagram. Thank you all so much for listening to today's episode. You can support the podcast by subscribing to me on Patreon. You can improve your own English by joining my conversation groups and study groups and listening to my bonus episodes. The link is in the description. Leave a 5-star rating wherever you are listening right now, and I'll see you all next time.